and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another one of my videos. So today's interview is a podcast interview from my podcast, Spiritual Queen's Badass Podcast, with the one and only Gabby Bernstein. So I hope you really enjoy this episode. It aired last year, but I wanted to share the video with you so you could see us talking face to face and have a recap of Gabby's pearls of wisdom about the law of attraction and being a super attractor. It was an honor to be able to sit down with Gabby, and I really hope you enjoy this episode too. So thank you so much guys for watching. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget you can also join my free Law of Attraction support group over on Facebook, where you can join myself and other like-minded souls where we talk all things law of attraction and spirituality. I hope you have a great week whatever you're up to, and I'll see you all in my next YouTube video, which will be next week. Lots of love guys. So thank you so much guys for joining me for another one of my Spiritual Queen's Badass Podcast episodes. I am so excited to have you guys here today and for an awesome episode which you have all been requesting for so long, and it's finally happening. We have the incredible Gabby Bernstein here today, and Gabby, if you don't know, is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Universe Has Your Back and has written 7 additional bestsellers, including her most recent bestseller, Super Attractor. She was featured on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday as a next generation thought leader. The New York Times identified Gabby as a new role model, and she appears regularly as the expert on Today and Good Morning America. Gabby co-hosted the Guinness World Records largest guided meditation with Deepak Chopra too. So welcome to the show, Gabby.
Thanks, Mama. It's nice to be with you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you today. So before we dive into all the goodness of your incredible books, I would love to know, this is one question that I ask every guest that comes on the podcast. When did you spiritually awaken? What's your story?
So for me, I had probably a spiritual awakening as a child. I was brought to visit ashrams as a kid. I was taught to meditate. And when I was 16 years old, I was suffering from depression and anxiety. And so I went to my mom and I said, what do? I need help. And my mom taught me her mantra. Her mantra at the time was So Hum. And she taught me how to sit and meditate with a mantra. That few weeks into that meditation practice, I experienced my first spiritual awakening, which was a real connection to spirit, a feeling of relief, feeling as though the daunting depression and anxiety started to lift. And I'd never really been the same since then.
I love that. And I was very similar to yourself, actually. Although I didn't have spiritual parents, my spiritual awakening came from depression. And you, as you so beautifully put it, when you kind of have those spiritual tools, or you start to dive into whichever avenue you get into with spirituality, you do feel that depression lift. And quite quickly, like I've always said, I feel like my depression was like a spiritual depression as such, of like rejecting myself and, you know, being able to step into who I was kind of truly meant to be. So I love that you've got that background there. So was it always your dream then to be a spiritual teacher? Like, what did little Gabby want to be when she grew up?
It's funny, it kind of was, but I didn't realize it. Little Gabby, when she was probably 14, was running the spiritual youth group. I was the president of the Jewish youth group in my community, but in my region. So it was like towns all over this one region. And so I would lead these spiritual weekends at the temple, and like, you know, sleepovers at the temple. And I was the young, you know, president of this youth group. And, you know, fast forward for, 30 years later, or, 25 years later, here I am. And this is what I do for my career. This is what I'm here to do as my mission. And so I do believe I always knew, whether I realized it completely or not.
And it's always that way, isn't it? You always have that little intuition as you kind of go along your life. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do in life, and I always just used to love books, hated reading, but just loved books for some reason as a child, and used to be like, I just feel like I'm going to write a book one day. I had no idea what on. I thought it'd be on money saving, which was my previous business, but you always have those little inklings of, it guides you along with your purpose of like, I did a lot of like acting and performing arts. So therefore that gave me the confidence to then go on a stage and speak to people, or like speak in front of a crowd of people. So it's interesting how our purposes kind of like weave their way in throughout our journey as such. So did you find that like any jobs or anything you had kind of in your teenagers and adult life, do you feel that all kind of weaved in?
Oh yeah, I too studied theater in college, and so I've greatly benefited from that background as a motivational speaker. I actually often joke that I would be a wonderful actress now. I was not a good actress when I was 18 years old, but I would be a great actress now because I know how to be real. I know how to tap into my authentic feelings. So, but I did carry a lot of that over. I also, my first career was when I was 20 to 25 years old. I ran a PR business, which was for nightclubs, but I learned public relations and I learned marketing. And that has been a huge benefit to my own personal career because I've never been afraid to pitch myself or to put my work out into the world or to sell a product or to sell a book because I believe in it and because I also really enjoy marketing. I mean, it's fun when you believe in what you're selling and what you're putting out there.
Definitely, 100% agree with that one. So when I first spiritually awakened, your books were actually some of the first things I came across, and The Universe Has Your Back changed my life because I was a manic manifester and I was a control freak. So The Universe Has Your Back has been like a bit of a Bible to me as such, of learning to surrender, learning to go with the flow of life. So I would love to know, who were your spiritual teachers or inspirations when you first started?
Well, Marianne Williamson was a great mentor and guide to me from the get-go. Dr. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. I have followed great teachers like Shakti Gawain. These are my early teachers. Now I'm really just super into the work of the trauma therapists and experts like Dr. Bessel van der Kolk and Peter Levine and uh, Daniel Siegel and just Gabor Mate. I mean, those guys are my gurus now. But it's evolved, and I've grown as I've grown. My teachers have changed and adjusted, but the original teachers are always my teachers.
I love that. I love that. And I agree. Like sometimes you resonate with people's work at different times and different stages of your journey, but you always kind of go back to those core values, those core principles with spirituality or wellness, whatever it is. So let's talk about super attractor then. So what does it mean to you to be a super attractor?
Being a super attractor means that what you believe in, you receive. And that when you're in alignment with a spiritual connection of your own understanding, you become a magnet for more of what you want. So we are all super attractors, but many people forget that they're a super attractor. They get misaligned. They attract what they don't want into their life. But through this book, it's about undoing all the patterns of misalignment to help you reconnect to that connection to a spiritual presence so that you then can really deliberately attract what you want into your life.
I love that. So beautifully put. So anybody listening, they're going to be aware of the law of attraction and, you know, how to manifest, how to do those sorts of things. So what are your personal top tips for being a super attractor?
Well, I think the biggest one is to make sure that my thoughts and my energy are in a positive frequency. And so that doesn't mean that that I'm going to be thinking well and feeling perfectly well all day long, but I really care about my comeback rate and how quickly I return to the positive energy that I believe to be the truth of who I am. Then I also am very conscious of making sure that my actions are backed with spiritual alignment. And this is a method in the book called the spiritually aligned action method. So if I'm taking action from a place of neediness or controlling or forcing, it's not going to have the beneficial effect that I'm hoping for. So when I get myself into a spiritually aligned action, I've put my faith and my desires and my service decisions ahead of the neediness and the controlling.
Mm.
And when I feel in alignment, that's when I'm ready to take action.
It's so true, because when you're like forcing from that place of I need this to happen, like you're not a super attractor, you're like a super repellent almost.
That's right, baby. That's right.
That mirror is there, and you know you're like you said, your alignment, when you're in alignment with that version of yourself that has these desires, that has that happiness, abundance, whatever it is, you are going to become that super attractor. So I love that. So what is the best thing that you've manifested in your life so far?
My child, my son, Oliver, who's the most amazing person. He's so fantastic. He's so funny and beautiful and smart. And yeah, he's my son, so obviously I'm going to say, but I'm going to tell you something. I manifested the most amazing human.
Oh, and I love that you shared this story with us all, because I was actually at your Judgment Detox workshop in London when you announced to everyone you were pregnant.
Oh, I'm so glad you were there. That was a really fun moment in my life. I'm happy we shared that.
Oh, it was awesome. And I think everybody in the room was like just crying with happiness for you.
I gotta get that video. If somebody has that video of people just live, pretty much just the people that were there. I was pregnant, but wasn't telling people yet. And the very last question, somebody said, so, I'm praying for you to have a baby. And I was like, actually, about that, I'm pregnant. Everyone was like, ah! They freaked out. Because you had been with me on my journey of trying to conceive.
Exactly. And I think when you see someone, because we're all human at the end of the day, but when you see someone who is so influential like yourself, going along which journeys which so many women will go along and families will go along in no matter what capacity, it reminds us that we're all going along, the same journeys together. It may look different, but we're all human and we're all experiencing this. So I think, people could probably definitely resonate with that story and just feel that hope as well that you'd achieve this incredible manifestation and that their desires were going to happen as well. So it was an awesome moment. So what's the biggest lesson you have been faced with whilst using the law of attraction?
Oh, what a good question. Well, I think that the lesson I've been faced with is that manic manifesting doesn't work. Early, I'm sure in my spiritual practice and my career, I would probably be like making things happen. And that's why I was able to, with a lot of certainty, write the chapter about spiritual alignment and super attractor, because frankly, I've learned over the years that you can't force anything into being. You have to allow it to become something. And so that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned.
I love that. And I'm with you on that being my biggest lesson as well. I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that entirely. So let's talk about the Spirit Junkie Masterclass then. So this is a really exciting course that you do each year, but it's slightly switched up this year, which I'm so excited to share with everybody. So for anybody who's not aware of it, what is the Spirit Junkie Masterclass and what can we expect from it when it launches in September again?
Well, the Spirit Junkie Masterclass is one of the great works I've been able to bring forth in the world. It is my school, and it's a training for people who identify as spiritual people, who want to bring more spirituality into the work that they do, or want to bring a greater sense of their work life into their spiritual experience, and bring forth their spiritual belief systems out into the world in an impactful way. So what I've done is I've created a training on teaching people how to have the confidence to do what they've been dreaming of, and how to truly tune into their purpose, and how to clear every single block to the presence of that purpose so that they can confidently step out and do what they've been really, really called to do in the world. What's magnificent about this training is that it's the one training that really puts people into action. Anyone that comes through Masterclass says, after taking the Spirit Junkie Masterclass, I did that thing. I jumped into that career path. I made that step in my personal life. And while there's elements of it that are about bringing a message forth and really making an impact, there's also a tremendous amount of personal growth methods that go along with it. Because if we don't change personally, how can we change in a global way? How can we make a bigger impact? How can we be abundant? How can we attract what we want into our life if we're not having that internal shift? So it's a transformational training that I can deeply, deeply stand behind. And I'm so, so grateful that it's something that I've been able to continue to perfect and expand and grow and add to. And this year we've added new modules, and it's pretty awesome. It's really awesome.
And it's so perfectly timed as well.
What are the next words out of my mouth, Emma? I was about to say, this is so timely. One of the biggest things I've been hearing lately from people is that they're feeling like they don't know where to go next. They don't know what their purpose is. They've lost their confidence. And I'm like, oh my God, I have the answer, but I can't give it to you until September, So I'm really grateful that this is the time that this course is so ready for people right when they need it most.
Absolutely. And I think 2020 as a whole has been such a self-discovery year of us questioning like what we want to invest our time in, what we want to do, what is our purpose, what are we doing with our lives. So I think it is so perfect. And I love that it's not just for like entrepreneurs, it kind of focuses on anybody, because our purpose could be anything. It doesn't just have to be, setting up your own business and doing what Gabby and I do. It can be absolutely anything. So that's why I think this course is just going to be so perfect and exciting for people to explore. And Gabby and I will bring some more information about that to you nearer September. So don't worry if you're excited about this. Lots more information will be coming soon on that. And on that note, you also have a new book baby coming, don't you, Gabby? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm launching a book with Audible, and it's coming out in audio first. It's, again, quite timely. The book is called You Are the Guru, and it's 6 transformational messages for living in uncertain times and moving through them with grace and faith, and really navigating the discomfort of these times with a spiritual foundation. It's so beautiful. I know that it's going to serve very, very, very many people.
I love that. And when's it coming out? When can we get our hands on it?
August 31st.
Awesome. A day after my birthday. What a treat. And when can we get the paperback? Is that going to be next year? When's that?
Next year I'll put it into print, but it's out in audio for a full year ahead of that.
Brilliant. And what is next for you, Gabby? What are your next projects? Because you always seem to be doing something. I love it.
Well, I'm hoping to have another baby. I'm working on trying to get pregnant. So that's another project, which I should probably say to you, because, whenever I'm pregnant, I tell the Brits, So, so there's that. I have a show on Instagram called Dear Gabby, which is every Wednesday. And it's so cool. It's at 12:30 Eastern time on Wednesdays on Instagram Live. And my belief is that it will probably be brought to a bigger platform with a lot more support as this year continues. So that's probably a really big one, is getting that Dear Gabby show out into the world in a very big way.
I love that. I'm so excited to watch more of these, and I'm sure everybody listening and myself are sending you so many positive vibes for baby number 2 as well. So lastly, before you go, what is one piece of life advice that you would like to leave my listeners with today?
That probably would be different today than it ever has before. Be in acceptance of what is, and focus on what is thriving.
So true. And that present moment, it's sometimes real hard to get into, but it's the answer. It's a solution. I love that. And just words I think we need throughout now, definitely in 2020, and throughout every stage of our life. So I love that. And where can my listeners find you if they want to know more about your amazing work, Gabby?
Everything is on my website at GABBYBERNSTEIN.com.
Awesome. And what's your Instagram as well, in case people aren't following you?
At Gabby Bernstein.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gabby, for your time.
Thank you so much, love. You're so lovely. Thank you.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you and finding and learning more pearls of wisdom from your awesome work. And I'm sure all of our listeners have really enjoyed this too. Thank you so much.